cool fall morning. At least it's beginning to feel like it. Unfortunately, it would seem that winter's coming, and I suppose that's why I'm struggling so hard to get all these projects done on time, because building in the winter is a lot harder, if not impossible. In any case, you can see the yard's quite a mess. There's also about a dozen wasps around here. But anyways, we got some doors and stuff lying around, some wood, and that's really the least of the story. So, I'm sure you can, well, you can't imagine what this place looked like before, so I'll throw up some pictures, but it was pretty bad. Absolutely jammed with all kinds of possessions. Nobody really has any idea. And when I removed all that stuff from this shed here, it basically filled up the entire yard. So the past 3 or 4 weeks has been basically just working on various projects to help empty this place out, like the attic, which I'll show you later, but renovating that has taken a significant portion of time, and that was to help us gain access to more storage space to store stuff better. Along with this garage, which I'll show you. We've been doing some stuff in here. Now it's pretty bad. It's usually pretty bad, but this is worse than normal. Like if you see those beds in the corner, those are some pretty, quite frankly, worthless stuff that's been stored up in those rafters. For the longest time, nobody really knew it was up there. I mean, you put stuff up there and you completely forget about it forever. And as you can see, this place is just strewn with stuff. Believe it or not, it was actually a lot worse a few days ago. But we've kind of been moving stuff around, getting rid of stuff, giving stuff away, etc. So this place really is quite a mess. Now, that has allowed us to actually empty out the shed, which is now actually the priority, right? So the idea with the shed is so I can have my own workshop where I can work on my own stuff and store my own stuff and have it be completely separate from that garage. Now that's both a good thing for me and my dad. You know, I particularly complain about the mess that he makes in there, like physically not putting stuff away, etc. You know, he's just one of those kinds of people, and I often am pretty careless with keeping stuff in mint shape, which he seems to want his stuff to be in mint shape, but I'm pretty poor at doing that, so I often end up damaging or whatever, doing, you know, basically harming stuff that he cares about. So in a way, this shed is a good thing for both of us, because I can isolate myself from his mess, and he can not have to worry about his stuff getting trashed anymore. Now that garage is actually insulated in the walls, but the roof isn't. And as such, it's not heated or anything like that, because it would be insanely expensive, heating the outdoors. Now, I have a different plan for this shed. I have quite a few plans actually. So what we've been doing is originally it's just an OSB shed, and it was just lightly framed here with this original in-framing, and it goes up to the ceiling there. But what we have been doing is, for one, making the doors taller. Those doors are not as tall as I am, and I would frequently, emptying out this shed, I probably hit my head about 70% of the time, so a couple dozen times. So we framed this door up here, and we've also been adding to the framing. So originally this place was built with 2x3s, and we've been adding on our own secondary 2x3s. So the idea with that is to get a significantly deeper wall cavity for insulation. And I've done the calculations, roughly speaking. And with fiberglass insulation in here, the heat loading should be such that when it's 40 below out, and I'm heating this place to 20 degrees, we should end up with roughly about 300 watts of power consumption, which is really quite low. that's very efficient. So we've been framing this place to have that high efficiency insulation, and we've also been adding additional framing on the top. And the idea with that is if I want to hang something from the ceiling, that wood will support it very well. There's probably 3, 4, 5 screws in each end of those 2x4s, and each one of them can hold a shear load of hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 pounds. So this will definitely be extremely secure. You could probably hang a whole motorcycle off of one of these, just one of these 2x4s here. So the idea is to make this thing strong and efficient. So we've mainly been framing. However, you can see that we installed a little bathroom ceiling fan in there, and that's just one of the amenities. So there's a lot of projects that are going to go on with this thing, such as keyless entry and whatnot, like an electromagnetic door locks, my own computer like system to control everything in here, the temperature and whatever, programmed myself, probably with some Arduinos. And namely electrical. You can't have a workshop without electrical. So the upcoming projects are to kind of finish off that ventilation, probably install an additional window, and the idea with that window is just to get some natural lighting in here. But additionally, the window could also help provide sunlight during the day, which in the cold winter months, with how efficient this place is, and just how much power sunlight produces, could actually help reduce the heating costs by a considerable margin. So what's coming up is just installing like fixtures and whatnot for electrical wiring, and more ventilation stuff like the exhaust and the intakes with filters. We've got to work on framing up the doors and insulating the doors. Then we got to insulate the place, seal it, do the whole vapor barrier, and install our drywall, because we're actually putting in drywall. However, we will also be moving this. That's why we're going to move it before we install the drywall, so it's not insanely heavy. And we're going to be moving it from this corner of the yard all the way onto the front there. I didn't necessarily think that was the greatest idea myself. However, apparently my ma would like to install an extension to the house, and she wants to put it where the shed is right now, which does actually make sense. I don't know how it's going to look over there, but I suppose having it nice and close to the house is kind of a nice thing. In any case, that's what we've been kind of working on. And yeah, so this will probably be my workshop until I move out, and after which I'll build something even more elaborate on my own, hopefully. But for the time being, I think this will do just great.